Capri, what's been going on in the United States of America?
You know, I have nothing.
Nothing's going on.
We're just hanging out, you know?
We're just hanging out.
Just another day.
Just another day. Well, it was quite the day yesterday. Well, our first order of business is to unpack that. The first whirlwind 24 hours of U.S. President Donald Trump's return to the White House. So listen, that's there, but how is all of that impacting us here at home? Perhaps the most urgent concern is that Trump suggested they would move ahead with the 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. He pushed it down the road saying probably February the 1st. That's a couple weeks from now. But he also signed a series of executive orders, including withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accord and the World Health Organization, and among many, 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 many other things yesterday. Let's react to all of this. Capri, what was your first reaction when that Sharpie came out?
Hang on to your hats. Good thing some people were wearing hats.
Oh, yeah. Melania.
Look, jesting aside, in all seriousness, I mean, look, Donald Trump has done exactly what he said he was going to do. He ran a campaign. He had the backdrops out saying promises kept, promises made, promises kept, right? And that's exactly what he was doing. I mean, some of this, was performative. There he was at the Capital One Center in downtown Washington, D.C. with a big desk, signing things with his Sharpie, and then goes to the Oval Office and is doing the same thing. But it was there. It's a marketing exercise. It's a branding exercise. Some of it's performative, some of it's substantive. But I think we have to take it all very seriously.
Yeah. Speaking of marketing, yesterday I was talking about the fact that whole TikTok situation, we're 72 hours of TikTok. You know what we're not talking about today? TikTok, right? Which I thought, this is a perfect distraction. 100 executive orders.
They apparently had a party, though, yesterday, TikTok in
Of course,
DC.
they had a pre-inauguration party, but I have more questions about what was going on and some of those executive orders that he had signed.
Yeah.
Can he, now that he's back in office, does it mean that everything that he signed is just gonna happen? He doesn't have to pass a bill, no legislation? How does this all pan out?
Right. Well, again, like I said, some of it's performative. It's red meat for the base. There are certain things he said he was going to do, and I think this is a way for him to publicly say, look, I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. But you're right. This is not necessarily going to be something that he can do just with a stroke of a pen. There are limits on what the executive branch can do. So, for example, some of the things that he did on, federal hiring practices, for example, even some of the things related to gender could have impact, for example, on gender, on passports. Right now you have an X, you can get an X on a passport. Now it might only be male or female, for example. Things like birthright citizenship, though,
talk about that.
are a little bit more complicated.
Okay, so he can't just outright get rid of it.
Birthright citizenship is something
in the Constitution.
that it was established by the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, which, in light of, the end of the Civil War and the end of slavery, the 14th Amendment was necessary at that point to basically say that people born in the United States are indeed American citizens. So, he said he was going to do this, something he talked about in 2016, something that obviously he's serious about doing right now, but you can't unilaterally rescind the U.S. Constitution. There are some, not to get in the weeds, but there are some, legal opinions that might open up the opportunity to have a larger conversation here, but there are going to be legal challenges. There is a lot there. Now, something that is also a little bit more substantive is this concept of, mass deportations. Yeah. That is something that is real, but you're also seeing resistance to that too. So,
so he can't wave a magic wand and all of these things, even though it looks like that yesterday.
Right. And that's the thing. It's window dressing to a point, right? Okay. It's window dressing to a point, but the reality is this. He believes that he has a mandate, and there's a difference, and I'll talk about this probably a few more times today, but there's a difference between Trump 1.0 in 2017 and Trump 2.0 today in 2025.
What's the biggest difference?
Not only because
majority in the Congress and the House.
Majority in the Congress and the House, which is fine. That's lovely. It's still a narrow majority, but he had the popular vote and the Electoral College. But I also think that there is this spoken and unspoken feeling by both some of his supporters and Donald Trump himself, which I think he referenced within his inaugural address, that he is mandated not only by the voters in the United States, but by God.
Yes.
Because he was saved by, the assassination attempt.
I mean, he didn't take the oath on the Bible, but whatever.
I know. It's like,
I mean,
did anybody
details matter.
details. But so he is going to do these things he's going to try to find a way to do them by hook or by crook. Yesterday might have been this, exercise to make him look like he was doing more. But the reality is, we have to take this very seriously. It's not going away.
It's not going away, and that was a great summation of what was a really wild day. As a Canadian, I'm watching this, and all I keep thinking is, it was so much. I need to put the blinders on. I would suggest we all put the blinders on to focus on what matters to us right here and right now. And that's the stuff that I can focus on.
Right.
And, the tariff thing, again, is this just blustering? Is this a negotiating tactic? Or will he actually follow through?
He's serious.
We don't have the luxury of saying, well, maybe it's just a joke. It's
not.
It
is not. I mean, I absolutely think he's going to do the tariff thing. I mean, I think that some of it is a, quote, negotiating tactic. But why is he even using this tactic to begin with? Because he really believes that it needs to be done. Unfortunately, a lot of Americans don't really believe that they're going to actually pay for these tariffs when, they want the prices to go down, they're going to go up. I just want to say, even though, I'm an American, kudos to Doug Ford for using the power he has as the Premier of Ontario, that very important purchasing power at LCBO, to say, you know what, we're not going to, if you want to have an American first strategy, we're going to have a Canada first strategy. And I think that maybe other folks might want to take note. Hey, you got to speak the language that Trump is going to listen to.
Well, yes and no. I just think that one of the things that struck me yesterday when I was watching Trump was just about he's a reality TV star. He is a giant personality. You like him or not, and I do not like him. He has a ton of charisma. He gives mob boss. Right? Like, he gives, I'm going to save you all if you just do me a little favor. I'll do some, shady business.
I'll pardon you from attacking the Capitol of the United States
which is exactly what he did yesterday.
That would never happen.
And he called them hostages.
That's right.
Did you catch that?
In front of hostages.
In front of hostages. Called those people who
but to go back to your point, I just think that what Canadians need to be wary of is people who use the same playbook, which is that there might be slightly different politics, but people who are performing and politicking and not actually.
I agree with that.
You're not looking at what they're actually doing. You're distracted.
I think to that point, again, as a Canadian, how much of that rhetoric has bled or will continue to bleed into our politicians on this side of the border? It does frighten me. Though, to me, the fact that yesterday the reproductives.gov website that provides information and access to information for largely American women for things like abortion, that website has gone dark.
Right.
It went dark yesterday afternoon, right after the inauguration. And we have politicians here who like to dabble in that same kind of rhetoric. So as the mother of a daughter, if you don't think that I'm paying attention to that kind of language and watching how our politicians here are going to take, to your point, a page out of that book, it does matter to us. I've said it once and I'll say it again. America sneezes and Canada catches a cold. Get ready. Get ready.
Pay attention and do your own research and reading too. Right? Absolutely. I know this is and Melissa makes a great point. We should be paying attention to how this affects Canadians. But he did make a comment in his inauguration speech that I have to ask about. He mentioned about renaming the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America, to which Hillary Clinton could not. She was chuckling about it. How much of a reality is that?
Last time I checked, the Gulf of Mexico is international waters. So, and also the United States of America belongs to North America, Canada, and Mexico. So I guess, you know what? Dude's just going to get a Sharpie out and be like, okay, it's the Gulf of America now. Again, that just shows that a lot of this is much more about trying to give red meat to the base, but some of it is very real too.
And it's working.
We're going to keep your eye on the prize, Canada. Keep your eye on the prize.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.